Hello dear students, in previous class we were discussing regarding the functions of canal system, right? So we are left with a few more points regarding the phylum Porifera. That is, the next one is regarding digestion. So how the digestion takes place in Poriferans or the sponges. With respect to the digestion, sponges or the Poriferans are called as ciliary feeders or filter feeders. So, with respect to digestion, sponges are called filter feeders. Why they are called as filter feeders? So, the reason behind is that collar cells which aligns spongocoel. We know that one. Collar cells are lining the spongocoel or the cavity present in the sponges. These collar cells which line the spongocoel, okay, they trap or capture the ingressing water, or they capture the food from ingressing water. Means the water which enters into the spongocoel through the ostia. So from that water the food will be captured. That is, the collar cells filter the water to trap the food. So what is the food component for the sponges here? Means nothing but here the planktons. What do you mean by plankton here? Nothing but a microscopic plants are the animals present in that water, as well as the organic matter, so which will be served as a food for the sponges. So when the water enters into that spongocoel through the ostia, and spongocoel are lined by the collar cells, these collar cells filter the water in order to trap or in order to capture the food substances. Because of this reason only they are called as filter feeders. Means they will feed on the food after filtering the water in order to obtain the food particles. Such captured food will be sent or will be taken into the food vacuoles which are present in food vacuole or contractile vacuole in collar cells, and digestion takes place within them, and digestion occurs within these cells. That digestion occur within collar cells or the choanocytes. So when the digestion takes place inside the cell, such digestion is called as intracellular. So in sponges, digestion is intracellular. Intra means within. So where the digestion takes place within the cell, so it is called as intracellular. While writing this point for the PU examination, just write the digestion in sponges is intracellular, and with respect to digestion, sponges are called as filter feeders. These 2 points are enough for the PU's examination. But remaining information is required to understand that concept and to answer the NEET or the CET questions. Is it clear? So with respect to the digestion, what type of digestion takes place in the sponges? Intracellular digestion. What type of organisms sponges are? They are filter feeders. Understood? Okay, this is regarding the digestion. And next concept is regarding their skeleton, or what that skeleton is made up of. So in sponges, their skeleton is made up of. So skeleton in sponges, this one is made up of. Skeleton is made up of 2 structures. What are those means? That is spongin fibers. It is made up of spongin fibers okay, are spicules, okay, are both spongin fibers as well as the spicules. Either it is made up of only the spongin fibers or the spicules, or both will be present, which forms the skeleton of the sponges. So these spongin fibers as well as the spicules will be embedded in the body layer of the sponges, and that gives the skeleton form for that one. So here skeleton is made up of spongin fibers or the spicules or both. These spicules, as we already know, there are two types of spicules are there. So the spicules may be, these spicules may be calcareous. When we call the spicules calcareous means they are if they are made up of calcium. So calcareous spicules are made up of calcium, or these spicules may be siliceous. What do you mean by siliceous? Means these are made up of silica. If they are made up of silica, then such spicules are called as siliceous. If they are made up of calcium, they are called as calcareous spicules. That is regarding their skeleton. Next, what about the reproduction as a last point for the discussion of general characteristic features of sponges? What is the nature of reproduction which occurs in case of sponges? Sponges reproduce sexually as well as asexually. But with respect to the reproduction, what type of organisms sponges are? Means sponges are hermaphrodites. What do you mean by hermaphrodites? Sponges are hermaphrodites. Yes, what do you mean by hermaphrodites? Hermaphrodite means here, hermaphrodite means these are bisexual organisms. What do you mean by bisexual? Means the same individual is producing male gametes also as well as female gamete also, then they are called as bisexual organisms. So sponges are bisexual organisms, are the hermaphrodites, and they exhibit both sexual and as well as asexual reproduction. Both mode of reproduction can be observed in case of sponges. So how the asexual reproduction takes place? Let's learn about that first now. First one, how asexual reproduction occurs in case of sponges. Asexual reproduction, how it takes place? See, during asexual reproduction, what happens? It occurs by internal budding. It occurs by the internal budding, and even true regeneration can also be seen in case of some sponges. What do you mean by true regeneration? Means if the sponge body is fragmented into many pieces of the fragment, means each fragment will develop as a new sponge or the new individual if it contains all three layers, that is the pinacoderm, choanoderm and the mesohyl in that fragment. Such a capability is called as regeneration, and that regeneration can also be seen in the sponges also. And the main mode of asexual reproduction is internal budding. What is the meaning of that one? Means here, during unfavorable conditions, what happens? The sponges produces internal buds. So during unfavorable conditions, sponges forms internal buds. These internal buds are called as gamules. These are called as gamules. So what these gamules are made up of? These gamules are made up of archaeocytes. So such gamules are made up of. So such gamules are made up of archaeocytes. We already discussed that in sponges, archaeocytes are totipotent in nature. They are capable of giving rise to any other type of the body cells. So only the internal bud is made up of archaeocytes. From that archaeocytes, remaining other type of cells will be formed. By that cells, with their organization, a new sponge will be developed. That is how the asexual reproduction takes place here. So let us see the structure of the gemule. Structure of the gemule will be given in the NEET or the seed examination, okay, for the identification of purpose. Let's see what is the structure of that gemule now. So, if you look at the structure of a gemule as an internal bud, say for example, its structure will be like this. So here will be a bunch or the group of cells present with the inner part of that gemule. These cells are nothing but the archaeocytes. So as I said earlier, the gemule is made up of cells called as archaeocytes. So what these cells are? So these are archaeocytes, that is totipotent cells which are present in the sponges. And here the opening for these archaeocytes, this end is called as a micropyle. This is the inner membrane of gemule. Inner membrane of gemule, and this is outer membrane. So double layered membrane will be present for its protection. Outer membrane of the gemule, and this is well protected by the presence of even the spicules also. So here and there the spicules will be present in order to give protection for this gemule. So these are the spicules. If you come across this structure, means identify this one as a gemule. Understood? So this is what the structure of an gemule means. So let's discuss regarding the sexual mode of reproduction now. So how the sexual reproduction takes place in sponges. Sexual reproduction. With respect to the sexual reproduction here, the sponges produce gametes, right? That is male as well as the female gametes. So male gametes produced by one sponge, male gametes of one sponge are carried by, so these are carried by water into another sponge. Even though it is hermaphrodite, self-fertilization will not take place here. So that male gametes produced by one sponge will be transported or carried by the water into another sponge. And fertilization is internal. So fertilization, that is the fusion of male and female gamete, takes place inside the body of the sponge. So fertilization is internal. So what is the nature of fertilization in case of the sponges means? So fertilization in sponges is first, as it takes place between two sponges, so it is cross, and as it takes place inside the body, it is internal. So fertilization in the sponges is cross and internal. While writing for the PE examination, if you write this much only for the fertilization, it's enough. Fertilization in sponges is crass and internal. Then what about development in case of the sponges? When we mention regarding the fertilization, then we must mention what type of development takes place in that organism with respect to the reproduction. So here development is indirect. Development in sponges is indirect. What is the meaning of this one? That is, the development takes place through here, the development which takes place through larval stages. Larval stage. So here larval stage means once the offspring hatches out from the egg, fertilized egg means it will not resemble its adult form, but it will be different from the adult stage. Such a stage is called as a larval stage. For example, when the human give birth to the human baby, it exactly look like human beings only. Even though it is small in size, all its body parts will look like human being only. But here what happens in case of indirect development? The baby which is developed or the offspring which is produced will not resemble its adult parental form, but it look very differently from their parental form. That type of development is called as indirect development, and that stage is called as larval stage. So example here. So for the example, you must refer or represent or name larva of some sponges here. What is that example? So for example here, Amphiblastula is the one larva. Amphiblastula. And Parenchyma is another example of the larva. Here, Amphiblastula, it belongs to Amphiblastula. This one belongs to which porifera means Amphiblastula belongs to Cycon. Cycon is the example of the porifera which produces larva named as Amphiblastula. Like Parenchyma, this Parenchyma belongs to, yes, which of the sponge means? Parenchyma belongs to the sponge called as Leucosolania. Leucosolania. Okay, so with this we completed the general characteristic features of the sponges. Any doubt in this one? Okay, this is enough for the CET as well as the PU classes, and some more information are required for the NEET. Okay, in order to solve the NEET questions, let's discuss about those special points now. Before that, make a note of these points. See, let's come to the classification of the sponges. This information is required only for the NEET examination. Phylum Porifera is divided into 3 classes. What are those classes? That is class Calcarea, next is class Hexactinellida, and class Desmospongia. What are the features of the sponges comes under these classes means here? Calcarea. So in these Calcarea or in these sponges, what happens here? The spicules are made up of calcium. So they are calcareous in nature, and spicules are either monaxon or triaxon or tetraxon. So all 3 types of tetraxon, all 3 types of spicules will be present in them. What do you mean by monaxon, tetraxon, triaxon means? Say for example triaxon. So there will be the presence of 6 rays like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like this. 6 rays will be present. Tetraxon means 8 rays will be present. Monaxon means here only 2 rays will be present. So such spicules will be present in Calcarea. And another feature of this calcareum is these are exclusively marine. So these sponges are exclusively marine in nature. And here collar cells are the choanocytes. Choanocytes are larger in size. Those are larger in size. In case of Exactinellida, so here exa means 6. So here spicules are triaxon only. Spicules are triaxon only. Means 6 rays will be present in the spicules. So they are called as Exactinellida. And these are also exclusively marine. These sponges are also exclusively marine in nature. They will be present in only the sea water or the salt water. And here choanocytes are smaller. Choanocytes are smaller in nature. What about in case of Desmospongia? So here these are spicules if present. In case if spicules are means spicules may be present or the absent. Spicules if present, they are monoaxon or tetraxon, but never be triaxon. If spicules are present means either they will be monoaxon or the tetraxon, but never of triaxon. That is about Desmosponges spicules. Next, what about their habitat, where they are living means they are both marine as well as freshwater forms. Both marine as well as freshwater forms. They can live in marine form also as well as freshwater form. Both varieties are available in this class. Both marine as well as freshwater forms. Freshwater forms can be seen in Desmospongia class. Next, what about their choanocytes here? So here the choanocytes are smaller. Choanocytes are smaller in size. Let's write some of the examples for them. For example, calcarea. You can write the example here. Example is Grantia. Example is Grantia. And for the Exactinellida, let's write example Hyalonema. Nothing but it is commonly called as glass rope sponge. Glass rope sponge. Remember the common name as well as the scientific name. Desmospongia. Here you can write many examples. So the example, say for example, Euspongia, which is also called as bath sponge, right? Like that you can write Cleona. So Cleona is called as a boring sponge. Why it is called as boring sponge means it can bore the shells of the snails. So it is called as Cleona. Next, so it is called as boring sponge. Next is Chalina. So Chalina is also called as, it look like a dead man's finger. So it is called as commonly called as dead man's finger. So these are the examples of the three classes of the sponges we have discussed. Okay. The one more, the very important example of the sponges, and which exhibit and the symbiotic or the commensal type of relationship with other organisms. So let us see what that example is now. See, one of the sponge called as Euplectella. This Euplectella is commonly called as Venus flower basket. Venus flower basket. This Euplectella, okay, it lives in association with some shrimps. Okay, it forms association with shrimps. What do you mean by shrimp? Shrimp is nothing but like a prawn. You might have seen prawn, right? So like that prawn, it will also appear. So that organism called as a shrimp. So Euplectella forms association with the shrimps. So as they live together and form a commensal relationship, this association is nothing but here commensal relationship. What do you mean by commensal relationship? Means so when they live together, the one may get benefited and other may not get benefited and will not be harmed also. Such a relationship is called as a commensal relationship. So it forms commensal relationship with the shrimps. As they live together, this Euplectella is gifted as gifted as precious marriage gift. Precious marriage gift in Japan. So why they will give the gift, or why they give the Euplectella only as a gift means because it denotes an symbol, or in order to denote or as a symbol of togetherness, that is, so with the phrase till death do us part, that is with the phrase till death do us part means ಸಾಯೋವರೆಗೂ ಅಥವಾ ಡೆತ್ವರೆಗೂ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಯಾರು ಸಪ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು. ವಿ ಶುಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಸಪ್ರೇಟೆಡ್. With that meaning, to symbolize that meaning, this Euplectella is given as a precious marriage gift. Okay, and this is very important for the point of examination. So, which of the points will be given as a precious marriage gift means that is nothing but Euplectella. What is the common name of the Euplectella? Venus flower basket. Okay, so with this we have completed all the points regarding the phylum Porifera or the sponges. In next class we are going to discuss regarding the another phylum, that is the phylum Coelenterata. Hope you have enjoyed today's class. Thank you.